Hi, this is Amanda with Always in Love. Today we have a new interview with Adriana Locke. She's here to tell us a little bit about herself and her books.
I am Adriana Locke, and I'm a contemporary romance author. I have a new book coming out in May. All of my books feature an alpha male of some sort, although I think they're all pretty different. And none of them are really erotica, but they get kind of steamy at times. When I'm not writing, I'm a mom. I have 4 little boys, and I'm a wife, and sometimes I think that's the worst end of that job. I like to garden and bake and cook and drink wine and talk to people who like books, because it's really hard to find people in real life who want to talk books. Does anybody else have that issue?
Yeah, we did. That's how we actually came together, because we like talking books. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right into the 20 questions. The first, what is your favorite word?
Love. I think that it means so much, and you can love so many different things, and it fixes so many problems. So love is my favorite word.
What is your least favorite word?
No. I hate being told no. I hate saying no. It's so final, you know? There's always a what if.
What's your favorite curse word?
Fuck. Always fuck.
What is your favorite movie?
That one is hard. I like Tombstone, Fight Club, Gladiator, and Troy. And then probably Steel Magnolias thrown in because, I mean, Weezer Boudreaux. But I obviously like boy movies, but I think that's because I have sons, right? And so there's nothing girly happening in this house. Nothing.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I want to be the girl on House Hunters that gets to go with all the people around and video them in all these beautiful places, or the girl that does the beach, 50 most beautiful beaches in the world. But I wouldn't say no to being the New England Patriots athletic trainer. I'll just say. I would totally probably do that for free.
What profession would you not like to do?
I wouldn't want to be a housekeeper. I hate it. My husband says it's a good thing he didn't marry me for my domestic skills, because I don't have a lot of them.
What's one thing about yourself that would surprise us?
I think people think that romance authors are really girly and romantic, and I'm really not. I would prefer to be outside in the woods. I prefer to live in the country. I am really a tomboy. I'm not, like, in my real life, I don't hear the things that I write. I'll say that. It's not I'm kind of, somebody said some of the things to me that, like, you read in books. I love to read in books. I love to write in books. I would sort of be like, okay, go on now.
Yes. What would an ideal day be for you?
Sleeping in, because I'm a mom, so that's always like the best thing. And a hot bath, and not having to cook anything or clean anything up. And that's it. I'm pretty easy. Maybe a walk outside or a good football game on TV. I'm pretty easy.
Who is your celebrity crush?
Ben Edelman. And Charlie Hunnam. I have 2. I would pick Jules first, but Charlie as well. He's kind of a bigger celebrity, I think, than Julian. So.
What is your favorite food?
Pizza. Always pizza.
Toppings?
Pepperoni and cheese. I can do sausage sometimes, but I'm kind of weird about meat. So the sausage has to look clean. I know that makes no sense to anyone but me. But I don't really like anything else. Tomatoes, maybe. That's it. No onions, no mushrooms, no olives. Nothing like that.
Are you a morning person or a night owl?
I really like 11 a.m. First thing in the morning is really difficult for me. I kind of hit my stride mid-afternoon. I get a second wind sometimes pretty late, but I like sleep. So if everybody in my house is asleep, I'm going to bed too. So, midday.
Who is your favorite boy band?
I was never really a boy bander, but I'm going to go with New Kids on the Block, because Marky Mark, back in that day, is kind of the epitome of perfection. So I was never into the NSYNC. I was never into New Kids on the Block either. I was like 8 years old or something, and I was just always all my friends were all doing it, and I was just kind of like whatever. But now I can appreciate that. So I'm going with it. Just on Marky Mark's abs.
What is your favorite TV show?
I don't watch TV ever, so I only watch football, Monday Night Football. I used to watch Vikings, but they really made me mad this season. Spoilers, so I'm not going to say why, but I refuse to watch it anymore. Because you can't do what they did. Like, if I did that in my books, no one would read. You can't do what they did. Like, it's just not fair. It's like, I won't watch it. I'm sure they care that I'm not watching it, but I'm not watching it.
Puppies or kittens?
Puppies. Kittens are weird. Mm-hmm. They are. We have 2 cats. One's named Sparta. This cat will jump up on my desk when I'm writing, and I'm like, "You need to get down now." And it will look at me and just knock my drink over, just looking at me like it knows exactly what it's doing. Puppies don't do that. They lick you.
Cats are assholes.
Yes.
What's the last song that was stuck in your head?
This song called Caroline. I think it's by Anime or something like that. My oldest son's listening to it right now. It's so catchy. I really like it. So I sing that all the time. It's in my head right now, actually.
What is your beverage of choice?
Fountain Coke. It has to be Coca-Cola in a styrofoam cup, not plastic. And it has to be crushed ice. That's the perfect drink. And if you're feeling froggy, you can put some rum in it, but it has to be in that order. No Pepsi, no plastic. I won't even drink a plastic if it's in a plastic. The plastic makes it taste weird.
Which Harry Potter house are you?
I have no idea. I've never read or watched a Harry Potter. I did take one of the quizzes though one time because my friends were all taking it, and I was like, well, I'll take this quiz. And I got Gryffindor or something. I don't even know what that means, but that's apparently what I am. But that may mean terrible things about me, but that's what it said.
It's good.
I don't know what it
If you could have lunch with 3 people, dead or alive, fictitious, anything, who would you choose?
I would choose John F. Kennedy and Julian Edelman, and probably the third one is so hard. Probably Prince Harry, I think. Only because I don't even really care about royalty and stuff, but he's in all of the media right now, and I really just kind of want to know how much of that's real. For a crush purpose, I just want to know. I guess I'm nosy.
If you could be any animal, what would you want to be and why?
I would want to be a bird because I think it would be awesome to be able to just take off and fly wherever you want and to see things from a different perspective. I don't know, a really pretty bird. I'm not sure what kind of a bird, but a colorful, really pretty one.
Okay, so this is my last one. What is your craziest fan story?
The word fan freaks me out because that's weird. So when readers get tattoos of my lines or my books of some sort, that is pretty crazy to me. To know that something that I wrote touched someone, but they would put it on their body for the rest of their life, that I always cry every time, and it's happened maybe 4 times. That's pretty crazy to me. It's just one of the things that when I started this path, I never thought would happen. If you would have told me this, then I would have been like, you're crazy. But it's happened, and it's just surreal. It's just one of those things, one of those moments you'll never forget. Every time you see one of those photographs come in, it's just, you'll never forget it. And you have don't mind the hair either. Sorry, I have crazy hair.
All right, Tosh, you got some questions?
I do. You did tell us a little bit about yourself, and so, but why do you write? Was it something that you always wanted to do, or did you just kind of fall into it?
I always wrote stuff, not romance stories necessarily, but I always wrote stuff. I have these journals I used to keep when the boys were little, and I wrote things like that when I was a little girl. I wrote stories, but I remember it was February, and I remember it was really, really cold outside. And I was reading all these things, and I remember sitting on the couch with my husband, and I was just going through my Kindle. I'm like, there's nothing to read. And he's like, how many books are on there? And I'm like, I don't know, 2,000. But there's just nothing I want to read. And he's, "Why don't you try to write a book?" And I'm like, "Really?" So it became a joke, sort of. I remember we went and got fountain pop and like candy. I'm like, "I'm gonna write a book," you know? And so it was a lot of fun, and I sat down to write The Exception. And I picked at that book for probably 9 months, maybe. I would work on it for a few days and then not work on it for a few days and just sort of forget about it for a while and then come back to it. And I hit a point where I felt that's all I could think about. And I thought I wasn't even going to publish it. And then my friends were like, "But you have a whole book. You should publish it." So I did. And I think they always say in acting, you get bit by the bug. And I think that that's true with writing as well. And I think I'm kind of just bit by it now. I'm finishing, I think, my 9th novel. So it's a roller coaster. And it's a way to, I always say you do it for yourself. Like, it's my time when I'm working. You know, it makes me happy. And it's as a mom and as a wife and a daughter and all these other roles that I play every day, it's my time to do things for me, to make me feel like I can do more than laundry. You know what I mean?
I do. Is it hard to write some of your scenes? Because some of your books are, they can really touch someone's soul, like in Written in the Scars and The Exception. And then even the Landry Boys, there's a lot of heartfelt scenes. Are those hard to write, or what was your hardest thing to write so far?
Sacrifice is the easiest book for me to write in a lot of ways, and the hardest. And I think because I'm a mom and Julie is a mom and Everly plays a pretty big role in that book, that was very hard to get through. Some of those scenes were difficult. Cried writing a couple of scenes, and the first one that I ever cried in was in The Perception. And Carrie, it's towards the end of the book, and Carrie is sitting on top of a mountain and she's talking to her mother. And I remember crying as I wrote that, and that was a moment for me as a writer to really feel like for the first time I was there with that character. You know, it was sort of a turning point in my career where I felt like I had kind of achieved something different. But actually, I prefer writing the more heartfelt books. My standalones are more angsty and emotional. My series books are more fun and playful. I do prefer to write the standalones, honestly, because I feel like you're telling more of a story as opposed to just giving the reader sort of an escape, if that makes any sense.
It does. Do you spend a lot of time researching your books? Because you do kind of, you have like a big genre of different way you write. And do you do a lot of research?
I do. Sacrifice, I had to do a lot of research because there's some conditions involved in that story that I didn't really know a lot about. Written in the Scars, I did, but it's pretty handy because it's about coal mining, if you haven't read it. And I live around a lot of coal mining community. My community has the largest coal mine on this side of the Mississippi River. So it was pretty easy to find people who knew those things, but I had to do a lot of research there. You know, what is it really like in an underground mine, and what do you take with you, and what would happen if this happened, and what are you thinking when you go down there? So I got some interesting perspectives from some men who kind of been in similar situations as I kind of toss my characters in.
Yeah, I love that book. Are you a planner, or like you just kind of pantser it out and take forever?
I'm a planner. Like I'm a major planner. I could never just go with the flow. I wish I could. I wish I could write out of order, because sometimes I'll see a scene in my brain and I'll think, okay, I know that's the end of the story, but I can't write that until I get there. Because to me, when I write, those things sort of happen. So even if I write this scene and I write 2 more chapters and then I think I need to tweak that a little bit, I can never tweak it in a way that affects the outcome of that chapter, because no matter what I do, if they start the chapter happy and they end it angry, they're still going to be there. I always figure it always just ends there. So I feel like I have to do things in order, and in my brain I have to make sure that things flow certain ways. I could never do it otherwise.
I get that one. I'm a sticky note how do you get in your writing zone when you're doing the planning? Is it sticky notes, or do you actually have a day planner? I mean, how do you get in your zone?
I start a playlist. Actually, I have playlists for books that I may never write, but once I get an idea, I always start a playlist. Because certain songs will take me into certain moods or feelings, and I can kind of pull from that. as I'm kind of getting into feeling like what those characters must be feeling or what I think they might be feeling. But I keep I actually just use yellow legal pads like this. I have them everywhere. And I have one for each book that I may ever write, and I keep notes, and then I just flip back through and I keep character details, like the hair color, eye color, which are some of the hardest things to keep straight. And I keep my outline in there, and I'll re-outline sometimes 4, 5, 6 times as I get to a spot, and then I realize that maybe the character did something really stupid, or they've taken it away that I didn't expect it, and I need to sort of re-plot where it's going to go from here. Mm-hmm. So I'm the queen of the yellow notepads.
Why did you choose this genre? And if you didn't choose this genre, what else would you be writing?
I chose this genre because this is what I like to read, and they always say to write what you know. And while I always say that I don't necessarily know romance in my real, I love my husband, and I don't mean it that way, but I mean these over the top sort of Max Quinn style characters. I've never met a Max Quinn before, but it's what I like to read, and it's the escape that I think a lot of women want, and a lot of women who are like me, mid-30s, 40s, 50s even, and their wives and their mothers, and we want that escape. We want that happy, and so it's fun for me. I don't know what I would write otherwise. I'm a really big history nerd, so I almost think fan fiction of some historical event which no one would ever want to read. But that's probably the first thing that would come to mind.
Speaking of fans or readers, do you hear from them much?
I do. My favorite part of my job, actually, is getting to know people. I had a lady message me from the UK yesterday, and she was in her 60s, and she said, I'm not on Facebook, I'm not on social media, but she found my book on Amazon, and she found my email address back to the book, and so we emailed back and forth for a few times, and it was pretty interesting hearing her perspective on the stories, and, how she found me, and how she goes about finding books, and her little, she has a little book club of women in their 70s, they think, and, they talk about romance, which I think is so interesting. So yeah, I hear from them a lot. My inbox is always pretty full, and but it's not anything that ever bothers me. I love it, actually.
That's pretty cool. When you're not writing and chasing wrestlers, baseball players, and a husband, what do you like to do?
I like to cook, but I don't like to clean it up. I like to be outside. I like to garden, actually, but we live in town now, and so I don't get to do that a lot. But we have a cabin in Ohio, so I hope to spend a lot of time there this summer, and just being outside in the dirt and the trees and the water, and it's kind of where my soul is happy. So those are the things that I like to do. I don't get to do a lot of them, but I honestly, we are going all the time with the kids, baseball, wrestling, like you said, football, whatever. And that really is, it is sort of a hobby for me, watching them do their thing and be happy and joyful. Life will suck that out of them, clean it up.
Yes. All right. So this is kind of one of my favorite ones. Out of your male characters, who will you marry? Who will you kill? And who will you fuck?
Okay, I would marry Crew because I feel like Crew in real life is the man that I would want beside me. He's loyal to a fault, maybe almost, but he's real. He messes up, but he kind of can step up and take that responsibility. He's the one that I would marry. Who would I fuck? Probably Graham. Because I really like his the way he approaches being an alpha. He's so kind and but he doesn't have necessarily an overly cocky flair. He's just sort of, this is the way it is, and I kind of like that. And who would I kill? I'm gonna say Max Quinn is who I would kill. Yeah, I don't know. That's probably my answer.
That's a good one. I still like Graham. I was so excited. I got the reveal box, and your book was in there. So
yay, that makes me happy. That box is fantastic. I was really excited to be a part of it.
Yes, it was awesome. Okay, so do you read other authors, and what do you have a strong influence in your writing on certain authors?
I try not to read too much when I'm writing because it's like listening to song lyrics. I have to be very careful when I'm writing because those words sort of seep into me. Now I can listen to a football game, I can listen to my kids, I can hear a TV show, but lyrics or written words are more powerful. I guess they kind of get lodged in my head. But I do love to read, obviously. Gail McHugh is one of my favorite writers. She had a book come out a couple years ago called Amber to Ashes, which is one of my favorites. I love her. She's sort of lyrical, and I love that. I read Megan March recently, and her book was fantastic. Jana Aston's one of my favorites lately. Of course, Mandy Beck, but she's my homie, so I have to read all of her stuff. S.L. Scott, I read a lot of her stuff. But there's so many good books out there. You can pick a different book a day and be exposed to something completely different. It's the beauty of our world, I guess.
It is. How do you come up with some of your story ideas? Because you do have a large range of your stories.
Where my books are over here, so I'm kind of looking at them to see wherever it leads. It was actually a dream. I had dreamed sort of the premise of that, and I never really thought about writing it until I had finished Sway, and I was, what do I want to write next? And I remember I was talking to my husband about this dream, and I'm like, I'm going to write that. And the opening scene of Wherever It Leads, Benton finds a phone in a grocery store in the Bananas, where Bryn has sort of, sat it down and forgotten it. And that really happened to my husband. Just a few weeks before I started writing that story, he came home laughing because he found a phone in the Bananas. Now, he turned it in, unlike Fenton, but so that kind of kicked that off for me. Sacrifice, I was actually at a wrestling meet, my oldest son's first ever middle school wrestling meet. And so we go into this gym, and there are formats in all these schools, and it's sort of overwhelming. And we've never done this. We've done jiu-jitsu before, but we've never done wrestling, and they're completely different things. And a little boy was carted off the mat by the EMTs because he got really injured. And that image stuck with me for a very long time. And I remember being in the car and thinking about that a few weeks later, and I sort of got the idea for Sacrifice there. And Written on the Scars, like I've said, it takes place here. I wanted to do something to really show small town, middle of America. And that's what I know that to be. So that's sort of inspired by, what I see every day and the things that people where I live kind of go through.
Mm-hmm. So you kind of say like some of your characters are on certain things, or any of your characters based on people you've met?
Yeah. Some of them for the good and some of them not for the good. I say often that my husband is sort of a mixture of Kane Alexander from The Exception and Crew Gentry from Sacrifice. He's kind of this weird mixture of both of them. Some of them are, some of my villains are from people that I've met that I know and that are just like terrible. I'm thinking, well, I can use that to make some good in the world. I'll put them in a book and do something really bad to them. And some of them are just completely made up, like Max Quinn. Like I said, I don't know any guy like Max. So, yeah, my characters are a mixture of real people sort of, and just completely made up characters.
So have you written a book that you refuse to publish?
I've written versions of books that I refuse to publish, but no book that I haven't published. I have starts of books. I have halves of books, 3/4 of books that I think maybe someday I'll publish. I'm just not ready to publish, but not that I quite refuse to publish.
So what is your favorite book so far that you've written? And then do you enjoy writing these intense books sometimes?
Yeah, writing the intense ones are my favorites. They're my favorite ones to write. I feel like you really get to know the characters more, and I feel like with those books, I can kind of I try to lace in something that the reader could take away when they're finished with it. An idea or a perspective or something that they can really, after they walk away, maybe they think about Written in the Scars and what Tiny Lynn went through, and they sort of take that lesson and they carry it with them. My favorite book, I believe your question was, that I've written is probably Sacrifice. Because it's just special to me. I wanted to write it for a long time before I got the courage to do it. And I think it came out. I don't even remember writing Sacrifice, to be honest with you. It seems like I watched a movie as it played out in my mind. And I think I wrote it in like a week. It just happened. So I feel like it kind of just came from somewhere inside of me that none of my other books really have.
Are you enjoying writing these Landry boys? I know I follow you on your groups, and I know that a certain Landry boy kind of keeps harassing you, but has it been fun writing this series so far?
It's been so fun. I love this family, and I think when I'm finished writing them, I'm going to be really upset. they're so dynamic. And in Swear, the one I'm writing now, there's a lot of them all together, and there's a lot of scenes of just the brothers together, or the brothers and the sisters together. And I love that family. I think this series is different than anything I've ever written, in that you really get a warm feeling of, a family and love and the support that they have for one another. And Lincoln is the loud. Every book that I write, he sort of tries to take over in my brain. I have to put him back down again. Even in Swear, he's pulled some antics, and he's going to steal the show in a few chapters. I'm like, this is not your book, dude. But I'm writing Swear now. It'll be the 4th book in the series. Camilla's book will come out in July. And then Sienna will have a book, but it will actually, I've never said this publicly. It'll be the first time I've said it. But her book will actually be used to start a brand new series, not in the Landrys. So you'll get her story, but it's not going to be a Landry book. It's going to be a different series, the sort of Landry-esque that I'm really itching to write. I have the whole first book laid out. Like I feel like I could just sit down and just write it in a day. But so naturally, when I get to that point, I won't be able to write a word of it.
Well, I enjoy everything, and you know that because I kind of stalk you because I just love your books. And Written in the Scars and was probably one of my favorites, but these Landry boys are good. So that's all the questions I have. Amanda, do you have anything?
No, not really. I really enjoyed. I read the first 2 so far, the first 2 Landry boys. All the other ones are on my to-be-read list, unfortunately. I haven't got to them yet. But I really enjoyed Lincoln Landry. But I'm also a huge baseball fan from St. Louis, so it's totally baseball everywhere. So that was a lot of fun to read. Even though he's not actually playing, just having the baseball dynamics was a lot of fun.
I'm glad I live in Indiana, southern Indiana. So we're in this weird, volatile place where you're either a Cubs fan or a Cardinals fan. And I don't watch a lot of baseball, so I don't really have a preference. But, like, there's wars here. My youngest son plays baseball, and he's not allowed to wear a Cubs hat. He only can wear a Cardinals hat because his coach is a Cardinals fan. And I'm like, really? But it's a thing. You baseball people are crazy.
It's crazy. The games are crazy here when the Cubs are in town, so it's interesting. It's a lot of passion.
Well, I understand it from a football perspective. Baseball just takes too long for me.
See, and that's
like a whole day.
I just live out in the middle of nowhere. The closest family person is a cow right now, so I'll just take the solitude. But sports is our family, even though we have lots of girls. We live in sports, so. But again, I love your books. Thanks for doing this with us. It was a huge honor, and I appreciate it. So if you have any questions for us?
What are your favorite books? I'm not looking for like a plug for mine. What do you guys like to read? What is striking your fancy lately?
So we actually became friends over author Kate Canterbury. Her books, I've been reading her forever, and that's kind of how Natasha and I met, so that's kind of always going to be like the top one there, that we became friends through her reader group and stuff like that, so that's always the top one. But I read everything pretty much, from really dark, crazy stuff to suspense stuff to really funny stuff. The only thing I really don't read is I don't really read the tearjerker type books. I just don't. I don't know why. There's no reason. There's no right. It's just I don't really want to have all that drama.
I feel you. The only thing I think I can't read is I can read anything, dark or whatever, as long as the girl has the choice. Like, that's kind of like the line for me. I don't care what he does to her if she's okay with that. I don't, put me in the red room with pink dressing, right? But as long as there's a choice, and when she doesn't have the choice, that is just, I can't. That's my thing. I just can't really go with that. I'd hit him in the face. You know what I mean?
See, in my books, I read everything. It's my escape instead of taking Prozac or Valium.
I hear you.
And so I love cliffhangers. I love angsty drama books, but then I also like historical fiction. And then actual true life stories too, just because my aunt was a historian. She wrote several books. So for me, I like it all. I like to escape. I grew up on a ranch, so I'll read a Western, but then I'm like, oh, they didn't write that right. So it's kind of hard for me to write some of the Westerns because I live it. But then it's nice to escape. It's an escape. Sports. I always like surprise pregnancies. It's always kind of funny for me because it's like, that doesn't always happen, but it's entertaining for me. So
I like it. I'll have to remember that.
So, but that's us. And Amanda and I did meet through Kate Canterbury's group, and I started my vlog because I hate writing and I work at numbers all day. And I'm like, I'm going to video review instead. And so I started it and I showed Amanda, then her and I got to talking, and I have my Ethel, and then we have our Always in Love YouTube channel.
I love it. I think it's such a fresh way of reviewing books. And I think sometimes no matter what words you use, you can only tell someone's joy or excitement or, you know, whatever through like their voice and their face. And it really puts a personal touch on this world where we're all so connected, but you don't get that face-to-face sort of time. So I love it. I think it's a fantastic idea. And I always watch your reviews.
Well, thanks. Well, Amanda's my biggest supporter of getting me going on it. So it's kind of nice that I live in Idaho, she lives in Missouri, and we have made this. So it's fun. We enjoy it.
It is fun. It's fun to watch. It's fun from this side too. It's funny how these books can bring people all over the world together.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. So
that was a lot of fun. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it as always. And thank you for joining us. Please like and subscribe to our videos.